Here are 10 signs that tell you you're healing from codependency. But first, my name is Michelle Ferris. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I love helping people create relationships without sacrificing their big hearts. So in this video, I'm gonna give you 10 signs that tell you you are indeed recovering and that you're on the right path in terms of codependency recovery. Now, the first one is you're actually sick and tired of doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. That's actually the definition of insanity. And that's a good thing because we have to hit a bottom in our recovery before we get help. Otherwise, we don't see a problem. So if you are sick and tired of doing the same thing, expecting different results, you're in the right place. That is what's gonna fuel your recovery and positive change. Now, the second one is that you're starting to identify your needs and wants. And that's really good news because that tells me that you're shifting the focus from other people and taking care of them to taking care of yourself. And that's really exciting. And that's a real pivotal moment in early recovery, is to start asking yourself, what do I want versus what does everybody else want? Number 3, boundaries are starting to make sense, okay? You're starting to know where your limits are because when someone crosses them, you are now feeling it. You may not even be ready to set a boundary yet. That's okay. The key is that you're starting to know what your limits are. You're starting to know, somebody just crossed my line and it doesn't feel good, because that's growth. That's part of early recovery, is to start recognizing where your limits are and where those unacceptable behaviors are that you're gonna likely need to set boundaries around when you're ready in later recovery. Okay, number 4, you're actually feeling your feelings more than somebody else's. Okay, this is huge because as a codependent and an empathic person, you are feeling other people's feelings a lot. And unfortunately, it leads us to feel very ungrounded and chaotic. So when you're starting to feel your own feelings, this is kind of a good news, bad news thing. The good news is you need this for your emotional health and your recovery and to have a healthier life. But the bad news is this isn't going to feel good in the beginning. It's hard to unthaw and to really start to feel all of our feelings because we're not used to it. We're used to, in our codependency, focusing on rescuing and helping other people so we don't have to pay attention to our own emotions. But this is growth, and this is part of early recovery because you're looking at how you're feeling in the moment rather than how somebody else is feeling. Number 5, as you get access to more of your feelings, you're gonna start to feel more grounded. And even though it is an adjustment to start feeling our own feelings, it is something that's gonna help you come back into your body. Because when we feel other people's feelings, it feels really chaotic. And our mood tends to change with somebody else's mood, and it's really, really hard and stressful on us as codependents. Part of feeling our feelings also is coming back into our center, okay? And that's gonna help you get grounded versus feeling really chaotic, feeling other people's feelings. Number 6, you're starting to feel less alone. And this happens because you have probably joined a support group by now, whether that's Al-Anon or Coda, or even a Facebook group that focuses on codependency. And instead of feeling crazy and bad about yourself, you start to realize, no, I'm not crazy, I'm codependent. And part of that is having some compassion for yourself, that you learned your codependency as a tool to survive your childhood. And now it's just time to unlearn some of those patterns so that you can live a better life. Number 7, your self-care is starting to show up. You're starting to get better sleep. You're starting to look at, maybe I'll take a walk with a girlfriend, or maybe I'll eat a little bit healthier, or maybe I do need to have that doctor's appointment. Instead of booking them for everybody else in my family, you need to book your own doctor's appointments too. So self-care is starting to make a difference, and it's starting to make you feel more like yourself again and more grounded. That's super important in early recovery because we're such good caretakers, but we forget to take care of ourselves. So that self-care piece is really, really important in early recovery. Number 8, you're actually asking for help because the stress of trying to do life by yourself with never asking for help isn't working. So maybe you're starting therapy, or maybe you finally let yourself get a sponsor in Al-Anon or Coda. Those are really important steps because we can't recover in isolation. It's really important. We all need mentors that have walked the walk further than we have so that we know where we're going and we can have hope, and that other person can give us that hope because they've been where we are. And that's a really important part of early recovery too. Number 9 is you may start to recognize feelings of anger and resentment. And I know that doesn't feel good necessarily, but that's a good sign because that tells me that you're ready to set some boundaries. You're ready to look at your people pleasing and say, you know what? When I say yes and I mean no, I feel it now. Instead of not feeling it and going ahead and doing it and feeling like the hero, I'm now suffering for it. That's growth because that tells you where your boundaries are. That anger and resentment is really, really key because it tells you that something isn't okay with you. And that's a good sign in recovery because that's going to help you take better care of yourself. So number 10, because of all these things, self-care improving, getting support, starting a group, starting to think about what your limits are, your self-esteem is starting to improve. You're starting to feel less judgmental about yourself and more like, hey, I actually have a tribe of people that get me, and maybe I'm not such a bad person after all. Now, self-esteem is one of those issues that takes a while to heal, but initially in recovery, you're probably going to get some relief here. Because again, when we don't feel alone in our codependency, we can judge ourselves less and we can like ourselves a little bit more and hopefully a lot more because that's part of early recovery too. So the next step, I would love it if you hit subscribe and be a part of my community here because I love working with people in recovery and there's a lot to learn. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.